So there's this mysterious object. It's hurtling towards us from way outside our solar system, and it's put the entire world on high alert. Its name is 3I/Atlas. And, its behavior is just so strange, so unpredictable, that it's making us all ask a really profound question. Are we looking at a natural visitor, or is it something else entirely? The way the world reacted might just give us our first big clue.
Okay, so first things first, we need to be really clear about something. This wasn't just some, abstract thing for scientists to debate. The arrival of 3I/Atlas, it triggered a very real and incredibly fast global response.
And this quote from the Economic Times, wow, it really sets the stage perfectly. I mean, think about it. When you see phrases like unusual planetary defense drills and behavior no one can fully explain in the same sentence, you just know the stakes are ridiculously high. What's so striking here is the speed and the coordination of the response. This wasn't just one agency doing its own thing. No, no. The European Space Agency, they activated their entire system for a super rare simulation. Japan scrambled to fast-track its own exercises, and get this, the U.S. Space Force took a drill that was planned for late 2026 and just yanked it forward. That kind of synchronized panic, well, it's almost unheard of. It tells you the concern was very, very real. So what on earth prompted this kind of reaction? Well, it all comes down to a list of just baffling behaviors. We're talking about jets that seem to be firing in the wrong direction, defying physics. We're talking about these weird, unexplained pulsations in its brightness. And maybe the biggest one of all, a persistent acceleration that gravity alone just can't explain. Simply put, it's moving in ways that natural objects, well, they just shouldn't. So, you take all that activity, all these completely weird anomalies, and it all boils down to one central, unavoidable question. What exactly is this visitor from another star? All right, to even begin to answer that, we have to step back from all the global alarm bells and look at the cold, hard data. And for that, there's only one place to turn: the Hubble Space Telescope. And here it is. This is what Hubble saw. No sleek spaceship, no metallic glint. The image from back in July 2025 shows this fuzzy, glowing object with a really bright core. It looks like, well, it looks like a comet. A really, really active one, for sure, but a comet nonetheless. So the science behind that fuzzy glow has a super fancy name: anisotropic ejection. But really, it's a pretty simple idea. Just imagine the side of the object facing the sun gets super hot, right? That heat causes dust and gas to shoot out, but unevenly. And that's what creates that sunward fan, that big cloud you see. The most important thing to remember here is that this is totally normal for a comet. It's a known thing. Hubble also gave us a much, much better idea of its size. At first, some of the ground-based telescopes made it seem like this thing could be massive. But the Hubble data, it brought the size of the nucleus way down to less than 2.8 kilometers in radius. That's an order of magnitude smaller. And that little detail makes a natural origin seem a whole lot more plausible. Okay, so it looks like a comet, but don't let that fool you. This thing is still absolutely incredible. Scientists have actually been able to trace its origins, and let me tell you, it's been on an epic 10 million year journey to get here. And this is why it's such a big deal. I love this quote from researcher Xavier Perez Coto. He says each one of these interstellar comets is like an open window to the universe's past. They're basically carrying samples, the raw materials from other star systems. It's a totally unique opportunity for us to study the building blocks of worlds that are light years away. And the way they trace its path, it's just brilliant. They use data from the ESA's Gaia mission. You can think of it like a superpowered GPS for the entire galaxy. With that data, researchers could literally rewind galactic time and reconstruct this comet's unbelievable 10 million year voyage all the way from some distant star system right to our cosmic doorstep. Okay, so we have the Hubble data. It looks like a comet. Case closed, right? Well, not so fast. Some of its characteristics are just so strange, so out there, that a group of scientists came up with a pretty extraordinary hypothesis. They're careful to call it a pedagogical exercise, basically a thought experiment, a what-if about a possible technological origin. So what is fueling this wild idea? Well, just look at the numbers. Its orbit is almost perfectly flat with our own solar system's plane, but it's going backwards. The odds of that? About 0.2%. Then, it just happens to make these incredibly convenient flybys of Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. The probability of that path? Something like 0.005%. And if that's not enough, it hits its closest point to the sun at the exact moment it's hidden from Earth's view. Any one of these things is kind of weird, but all of them together, the odds are just astronomically small. And these images here really show you just how convenient we're talking. That path brings it unbelievably close to Mars and Jupiter. It's the kind of perfect trajectory you'd design if, say, you wanted to deploy smaller probes to check out those planets without using a ton of energy. It's like a perfectly planned, low-energy grand tour of our solar system. And all of this leads to a wild idea called the reverse solar oberth hypothesis. The thinking goes like this. What if an intelligent probe used its close pass by the sun, while, conveniently hidden from us, to slam on the brakes? It would be the absolute perfect way to stealthily enter into orbit around our sun, becoming a permanent part of our solar system, and we would never even see the maneuver happen. So, where does that leave us? We've got two completely different stories on the table. Is 3I/Atlas just a natural comet on a ridiculously coincidental path? Or is there something more going on? Let's weigh the evidence, side by side. To get a little more context, let's just quickly compare Atlas to the only two other interstellar visitors we've ever confirmed. So unlike Oumuamua, which was more like an asteroid, Atlas is definitely cometary, like 2I/Borisov was. But check out that eccentricity number. That's basically a measure of how stretched out and extreme its orbit is. And at over 6, wow, that's a trajectory that is way more extreme than anything we have ever seen before. So really, it all boils down to this. On one hand, the case for it being a natural comet is pretty strong. Hubble clearly shows the dusty cloud, the jets are a known phenomenon, its reddish color fits, it checks the boxes. But then you have the case for alien technology, and that hinges on this whole string of coincidences that are just so improbable. You have the statistically baffling orbit, the suspiciously perfect planetary flybys, the fact that it hid behind the sun at the most crucial moment, and it even came from a direction that made it really hard for us to spot early. It's like what our eyes see versus what the math is telling us.
So as this strange visitor continues on its journey, we're all left with this really big question, right? Is this just a primordial relic, a piece of a star system from millions of years ago? Or are we witnessing the first cautious reconnaissance of our own cosmic neighborhood? It's a wild thought. But either way, the arrival of 3I/Atlas proves one thing for sure. The galaxy is a busy place, and we're definitely not alone in it, even if our only visitors for now are just the ghosts of other stars.